Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, 5 Manager Strategies Guaranteed to Boost Sales Today. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by Dealeron. And for anyone who isn't familiar with Dealeron, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our search engine optimization, best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning websites. Dealeron was named the top-rated website provider by Driving Sales in 2011, and Dealeron customers were winners of the Spring 2012 Digital Dealer Website Excellence Awards. Dealeron is so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that we're the only company in the industry to offer a lead guarantee program. Oh yeah, I said it, a lead guarantee program. So if your website company isn't guaranteeing you leads, then maybe you should check us out at dealeron.com. Now today we're very pleased to have Jennifer Suzuki as our presenter. Jennifer Suzuki is the founder and president of eDealer Solutions, Inc., an award-winning training company focused on improving salespeople's phone skills, emails, and operating processes. Her 17 years of experience encompasses a wide gamut of valuable auto industry know-how, such as selling vehicles, training and installing DMS systems, retailing internet leads, and managing an internet sales division comprised of 28 dealerships. She has a tremendous reputation for delivering significant success to dealerships looking for effective processes, profitable ideas, and a sound direction for the 21st century auto dealer. Jennifer's passion and expertise are evident in her career, as she's well known for conducting sales training seminars for numerous manufacturers, dealerships, 20 groups, and sales associations. An active writer and blogger, she can be reached at Jennifer at edealersolution.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to respond by email later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording will be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And guess what? Our good friends at eDealer Solutions are giving all of the attendees today access to one of their very valuable training modules that goes along with today's subject. And this training module is titled Effective Notes in the CRM. Today's webinar is really going to be focused on managers, but this training module really is perfect for salespeople and BDC representatives. And I'll also send you the link and the password in my follow-up email later today with the link to today's recording. So no worries, although it is up on the screen right now. Also, at the conclusion of the webinar today, you'll receive a short survey. Please fill it out. We're always looking for quality feedback from our audience, but today we'll be randomly selecting some winners from all the completed surveys to win some Google prizes. So if you want to be one of those, please fill out that survey at the end of today's webinar. So we have a lot to get to, so without further ado, let's get started. Let's learn about the 5 manager strategies guaranteed to boost sales today. First, let's say hi to Jennifer Suzuki. Jen, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Elena. And thank you so much for inviting me today to work with your clients and future clients. Today, we're going to talk about 5 manager strategies guaranteed to boost your sales today. So I hope you got your pen and paper out. Take a couple notes, although you'll have a copy.
Yes, yes. So
notes along.
webinar copy is going to be sent to everyone, but I do want to say this is a very provocative title for your, to boost sales like today? That's what are we going to be learning today? Because I got to see this. What are we learning today? Because it sounds like this is going to be pretty important stuff.
It is, and I'm going to make this super simple for everybody too. So as long as you have something to write with, I'm going to give you some simple strategies that you can incorporate today and apply today. Now, I'm going to be really frank with you. I do training virtually every single day, every single week of every single month, and it isn't my first, run around. I see this regularly where you write down information. And that's the easy part, right? Writing it down, absorbing, listening to it. What's the hardest part of today going to be for you?
Making it happen.
Exactly. It's execution, making it happen. It's just a very difficult thing to do. Recognize that it is difficult to do. I'm going to make this super simple for you, but you've got to make the time. You've got to carve out that time in your schedule to make it happen today.
Sounds reasonable. Okay, tell us what we are going to be covering today.
Okay, so we're going to get into a couple key things. Well, a couple times 2 plus 1. That's 5. So first, we've got to go through some objectives, okay? So in those 5 strategies that I outlined today, now remember, these are going to be modern strategies. You've got to remember that the spectrum has changed drastically in the dealerships. It's not just about walk-in traffic, is it? No. I mean, we're dealing with high increases of incoming calls and increases in internet leads. So because these 2 aspects continue to grow, we really have to look at our strategies for selling towards this educated prospect. So these are modern strategies that you can implement, and it's not just for our internet and BDC reps, but for our dealership salespeople as well. So when you're looking to manage this group of people, you've got to recognize that the spectrum is different, that the way we communicate is different, the way that we build value in ourselves is different. I mean, it's much different than a walk-in. However, you can correlate a lot of the things, the management techniques that you already do for walk-ins, you can correlate it with today's salesperson and today's buyer. So like whereas before you might have had a daily plan that was laid out in a printed format, maybe came out of your DMS, now you're logging into CRM, looking at an organizer, looking at the daily tasks and seeing what the work schedule is going to look like. So today we'll cover what our modern strategies are, going through benchmarks, exactly what to look for to develop your 21st century sales team, and I'll give you easy, tangible actions that you can incorporate into sales training in your dealership, coaching, and daily management. And of course, we'll have a Q&A at the end of the session.
That sounds like you have a lot of work ahead of you in the next hour. So
let's get going.
Let's get started. Now, did you want to run the poll question and poll the audience first?
Well, go ahead.
Let's do that. Audience, we want to know so that we can tailor the program to exactly what we're going to be learning today. We want to know, and of course I spelled program wrong, in order to tailor today's program, please tell us your job title. So please select one of the following. Are you an owner or general manager? Are you a new car manager, a used car manager, a sales consultant, or are you something completely different? So whatever it is, just let us know so that we can, or I should say Jen, because she has the tough part ahead of her, so that Jen can take the information that she has, which is a lot, and tailor it to your specific needs. And by the way, I just want to put this out there. I told Jen about the question and answer session and how my attendees are usually really, really tough. And she said, there's no question I can't answer. She's throwing down the gauntlet. So if you've got a tough question that you think Jen Suzuki can answer or can't answer, I want you to send it along to me. Okay, guess what? We have most of the people, almost everyone has voted, so thank you so much for your votes. We're going to close the poll and share the results. Guess what? We have 22% of today's audience is an owner or general manager. 6% are used car managers, and we have 72% of people on today who are something else. So I hope that helps you out, Jen, although I don't know if it does.
Okay.
Okay, so I will turn it back over to you. Looking forward to hearing what you have to say, Jen.
All right, let's get into this. So first, we've got to prepare for the change. And you might be asking yourself, as a manager, how much time is it going to take to implement a better game plan? Now, the first thing is that I would say it's going to take you the time today to plan for this change. So if there is some time you have in your lunch break, put 10 minutes aside today to really start to plan exactly where you will implement some of these upgrades that I give you today. Schedule the time. Get your managers together today and get them on the same page and dedicate time every single week to brainstorm with them. This is such a critical aspect of your dealership. This is such a critical aspect of your growth. Take it seriously. Prepare for the time that it's going to take to implement change. The first thing that we've got to really kind of focus in on here is what are these management areas here. Now remember, I've said I'm going to make this super simple for you. So I'm giving you 5 key points here. The first thing is we've got to have a new hire training manual. So as a manager, you're doing an interview process. You have hired somebody. It's important that they have a new hire training manual. And in this training manual is what you're going to outline what job descriptions are, roles, responsibilities, and such. The second thing is that we need to dedicate an hour every single week for a team meeting. This keeps everybody on the same page. It's really good for department growth and for personal development. The third key point that we're going to cover here today is going pro. Now, I don't mean going pro as a salesperson or as a manager, but CRM Pro, which means you should be as good at using that CRM as any CRM trainer that came into your store to implement that system. I'm serious. This is a critical part of your success. You have to be as good on this CRM as any other salesperson in the dealership. This is how we are going to move towards a 21st century dealership. The fourth key point is we've got to monitor the email communications. Remember, this is your brand identity. This is your multi-million-dollar image. Is it being portrayed every single day on every single email? That's a question that only you should be able to answer. And it's important that you can answer that, not just the salespeople. And the fifth key point is that we have to record calls. Now, I know this is a little fuzzy area. Nobody likes to listen to recorded calls. And the reason why people don't want to listen to recorded calls is because generally, 9 out of 10 times, I hate to say this, but they stink.
Oh, jeez.
So, if that's the case,
I didn't think you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say it's boring or it's tedious.
No, it's that unfortunately in most dealerships, and don't feel left out if you're one of them, that we don't really have a solid written process and we don't really have formal expectations that have been said, that have been trained on, and that have been repeated. The recorded calls oftentimes are salespeople just picking up the phone because the phone is ringing, and they're using kind of the off-the-cuff strategy. And I mean it, it's 9 out of 10 times. That is where we are failing ourselves, failing the dealership growth, and failing to be in a 21st century dealership. Now, these are things and techniques that we can be cutting edge, separate you from the competition. I know they sound really simple, but you've got to ask yourself right now, how many of these 5 are you implementing? Well, let's get into more details about what each of these 5 are. First thing, the new hire training manual. Obviously, super important here because the goal, as I mentioned, is to set expectations of roles and responsibilities. Now, when I say set expectations, I got to tell you that in many cases, we don't even have a job description for internet consultants, and we don't have a job description for a BDC representative. Oftentimes they're hired and put into the role immediately, and oftentimes they don't even have a pay plan right now. So in this new hire training manual, we're going to get formal, we're going to get organized, we're going to get professional. This is something that will separate your organization from other people's organizations because now you're really starting to take this seriously. And the consultant from the time of hire is going to be taking this job seriously. So what should be included? And I'm asking you to bust out that Word document program today or sometime this week, at least you're planning for it, and start putting together a job description. A job description for our internet consultant, a job description for a BDC representative, a job description for a salesperson. Because if your salespeople are handling internet leads and incoming calls, in their job description, it's got to outline exactly what the expectation is for taking an incoming call. If this is your bread and butter, we have to get formal about what we do to provide a new hire. What are we doing when they hire, when they show up, when they start their job? What are they expected to do? We've got to at least give them an opportunity to succeed by outlining what our goals are. So benchmarks and goals would be your closing ratio. Now remember, you should have a closing ratio by lead provider. Don't just have a general closing ratio because all lead providers yield different results. Of course, our website, and hopefully you have a dealer on website, is going to yield a high closing ratio. You might see anywhere from 20 to 25%. Start monitoring it. However, your third-party leads that you would be purchasing, you might yield a 6% or lower. So you can't expect a third-party lead provider to yield 20-25%. So you've got to set closing ratios by the lead provider. Now remember, you also want to make sure that our new hire knows what we expect for appointments. Isn't that the name of the game? If we're going to sell more cars, they need to know what the benchmarks are. So do you have that clearly outlined for them? Because I'm going to ask you to revisit these goals and benchmarks in your meetings, and we'll get to that as one of the other key points. So write this down. These are some benchmarks that I use with our clients. Lead to appointment show ratio, 25 to 30%. Lead to appointment show ratio, 25 to 30%. Our appointment to sold ratio, appointment to sold, 70 to 80%. You're probably asking yourself, dang, that seems really high. Yes, it does, because we're going to have a solid sales process with solid expectations and crystal clear goals. When we can start with these things, then we have a higher closing ratio opportunity. But again, of course, the expectations have to be clearly defined. And show to sold would be 80 to 90. Again, you're probably saying, wow, that seems really high, because we need to have a strategic call organized. And that's what's going to be included in our new hire training manual. 20% lead to sold. So lead to sold, 20%. These goals have to be clearly identified, revisited on a weekly basis. Now, what is your sales process? What is your sales process? Is it clearly defined? What is your internet sales process? From the time that internet lead comes in, what is the consultant expected to do? Do they have a response time goal? Do you expect them to call first or email first? That needs to be defined. When they make that phone call, what are they supposed to say? What is their greeting? What are the first initial questions? What is the rapport building questions? What are the qualifying questions? What are the commitment questions? And what are the appointment setting questions? These are all things that you've got to define moving into a 21st century dealership. Now, remember, you used to have all of these things for walk-ins. The 10 steps to the sale, remember? So you probably have a lot of this information. We just have to tweak it a little bit for our new modern day customers. So we've got internet process, incoming call process. What do they say when they answer the phone? It should be consistent and universal. When we set the appointment, it should be consistent and universal. It can't just be, so when do you guys want to come on down? No, we need to have appointment setting processes. So again, in our new hire training manual, let's give these folks a way to be successful, clearly defined. Now, what is the process for show appointments? What do they do after they show? What do they do when they don't show? Are they expected to call in 30 minutes? Are they expected to send an email? What's the follow-up process after that? So if they don't answer the phone call after a no-show appointment, and you send an email and you get no response, should they call again tomorrow? Should they call again tonight? That needs to be defined. And for sold, and for customers that popped in, showed up for the appointment, but they didn't buy, what is the protocol for following up with this person? So all of that is in our new hire training manual. Seems like a lot, I know, but I have to tell you, I haven't seen this occur on a regular basis in all of the history of me going into dealerships. I just don't see this, and this is one thing to start moving into a more professional approach to working these modern day customers. And remember, the reports are critical too. What reports do you want to see that the salespeople are monitoring? Do you want them to monitor their closing ratios? They should, for their incoming calls and their internet leads. What kind of information do you want them to present to you maybe every single week? Like maybe they should have their leads marked, how many incoming calls they took for the week, how many internet leads they took for the week, and how many they closed, converted, and so forth. Okay, so new hire training manual. Should be pretty clear about that. Let's get into number 2, a 1-hour team meeting. Doesn't seem like very much on paper. I gotta tell you.
What do you do during the 1-hour team meeting is what I want to know.
Well, you know, it's a good question because 1 hour doesn't seem like a lot, but 1 hour is a lot because you're making a commitment to this 1 hour every single week, and it says team, right? Really important that everybody is involved. So what are we going to cover in this 1 hour team meeting? Well, remember, before we get into the specifics, we've got to realize that this meeting is so important to your success. It keeps everybody on the same page. It's really important for team building, for development, and growth. Every single meeting should have a sales manager in attendance. So if all of your salespeople work with the incoming calls and the internet leads, then the salespeople need to be there. If you have a dedicated internet team, then it's just an internet team. If you have a dedicated BDC, then it's just the BDC department. So whatever the case is for how you approach your business, make sure that we have all of our players in attendance. But we always have to have a manager. It could be a used car manager that does it 1 week just to stay involved. It could be a sales manager, but I would highly encourage that you always have the general manager and or owner present, depending on how large or small your organization is. The more managers, the more merrier. So who should attend? An owner or GM, at least one sales manager, and your sales team, whether it's a BDC, internet, or all salespeople. Now, here's what we're going to cover in this meeting. So for 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes of this meeting, it should be a recap of the week's progress. How many leads you guys have received, how many we converted, how many appointments we set, how many showed, how many didn't show, how many bought, how many walked, how many were VBACs. All of that is important that we cover in the first 10 minutes. Now, in the first 10 minutes, we should always be covering our goals. What were the goals that the salespeople set out to achieve this week? How many sales did they put their name next to for the month? And how many are they percent to goal? So we're talking about recapping the week progress, setting goals, and where we are percent to goal. What should you bring to this meeting? Examples of the CRM, examples of call tracking. This is a 30-minute part of the meeting, okay? This is the major guts of this 1 hour meeting. It is examples of the progress in the CRM, the actions that they're taking. If you see anything that's kind of fallen through the cracks, maybe a customer doesn't have follow-up based on the follow-up schedule, you need to have that customer's name and you need to bring it up on the screen and show everybody. This is an example of somebody that slipped through the cracks. Let's get back on that. Let's get them back on track. You might have some examples of using the CRM really effectively. Somebody that took an incoming call immediately logged that customer in. So if you're listening to the call tracking, look to see that that customer was entered into the CRM and look to see what has occurred for follow-up. And the note-taking. If you see really good notes in the CRM from that phone call, that's what you want to highlight in this meeting. You want to highlight all the positives and you want to highlight the areas of opportunity. Make sense? Okay, I'm going to say yes. So remember, 30 minutes.
Yes, it makes sense. Sorry, I was on mute.
30 minutes for examples, okay? So you might even have some call tracking examples, really good phone calls, really good rapport building, really good commitment, really good appointment setting. Those are all the things to listen for, but that's what you bring to this meeting. The training topic, you should always have a training topic. How long should you spend here? 20 minutes. This is the second most important part of this meeting. So right now, we've already accounted for 40 minutes. The next 20 minutes is about training. So each manager should pick a topic, whoever is hosting this meeting for each week. And one of the training topics could be like how to handle price. Or how to handle price when you don't have a phone number. A training topic could be, like the one that I'm providing this complimentary this week. It could be effective notes in the CRM. If your notes in the CRM do not tell the story, then the salespeople are failing you, Mr. Manager. So we might need to do a training topic on what are good notes to log in the CRM. Okay? So remember, the focus for the week. It could be, so the salesperson needs to share with you a focus for the week. So they might say, oh, hey, manager, I'm going to focus on a better introduction this week, or I'm going to put together 20 questions to help me manage the phone call better. What I'm asking you to do, Mr. Manager, is to ask your sales team for an email. Right now, after this meeting, every single week, I want you to ask your team for an email. And I want them to give you 1 to 3 areas that they promise to focus on this week. This is how we grow as a team, and this is how we work with a sales consultant on their personal growth. So the salesperson should be able to give you personal goals, 1 to 3 things that they're going to focus on this week based on this meeting, and they should also know what the work goals are, because you are giving them one area to focus on for the week. It could be their introductions. It could be to put together the 20 questions. It could be setting the appointment. It could be the greeting for the incoming call. It could be logging more notes in the CRM. Whatever you decide, Mr. Manager, just make sure that you leave this meeting with a focus for the week, and allow the sales consultant to email you 1 to 3 things that they personally are going to focus on outside of that work goal, okay? So our next third point here is we got to go pro on the CRM. And I've got to tell you, this is one major area where managers fail the entire dealership. In many cases, our managers are not clear about how the CRM works. And if this is you, go ahead and admit it to yourself. You don't have to say it out loud. We're on a call. I can't even see you. But you know who you are. You know who you are. Yeah. A lot of people don't get trained. Or you know what? What happens is the dealership buys the CRM, they unleash it, they get 2 days of training from the CRM company, and next thing you know, we're hiring new people who have never been trained on it before, and the next thing you know, we've got more new people, and months have gone by, and now nobody's trained on the CRM. Why have this expensive product if you're not going to use it? This is the key to more sales. As a matter of fact, I call it a personal assistant because it will tell you what to do. It will tell you who to contact. It will tell you what your last action was. It will tell you when you should contact this person in the months, the weeks, the days to come. So it's a very important tool for our 21st century dealership. We got to use it.
I sometimes feel like I always meet dealers, and when the topic of CRMs come up, I always hear from dealers that no matter how much they use the CRM, there's always something else that they can always learn in the CRM. It's like a never-ending process, and there's always something else that the CRM does that they just found out that it did. At least it seems like that to a lot of people. Do you hear that a lot too?
I do, and that's good. That's good feedback. That means the CRM companies are making changes. They're updating. Well, not all of them do, but it's good to hear that some of them do. You got to stay on top of those changes. You know, you need to know exactly how this system works and how it needs to get better for you. As a matter of fact, you should, Mr. Manager, know who your rep is. And you should have a good relationship with this rep so that when new changes do happen, that your CRM rep is calling to let you know about them. Or, better yet, you're calling your representative to give them feedback on what would make the product better.
Okay, so when you say that somebody needs to become a CRM pro, are you saying they need to know 100% of what the CRM does, or they just have to have a really good working knowledge, like 70 to 80% of what the CRM does?
I'm saying 100%.
Oh.
And I'm saying, yeah, because again, this is the core to conversions. If you don't have good data, how are you going to convert more customers? If Mr. Manager cannot log into the CRM and quickly identify who this prospect is that just showed up at the front door, and know the detailed history, know what we priced them, know exactly what was important to them, and know exactly what the hot buttons were, exactly what the deal breakers were. If you can't access that in the drop of a dime to introduce yourself to this prospect who just showed up, you want to be able to quickly read through that file, introduce yourself, so that way we've got an early manager TO, and that you can say, hey, Eliana, thank you so much for showing up on time. It's 3:15 right now. I know that you and Bob have been speaking over the past 7 days about the Honda Civic. I know that you really, really, really wanted black. I know that Bob just spent an hour prepping that black Civic for you to drive. I want you to know that your business is very important to us, and I know that you've been driving a Kia, and we are so excited that you are interested in our product. Thank you so much for being here. That is how we start to have better manager introductions, but you will never be able to do that in our 21st century dealership if you don't have the information in the CRM, right?
So this also goes back to great notes also, right? So when you say manager, do you mean every manager, like the ISM, the used car manager, the new car manager, and the general manager? Or are you talking about just certain managers?
Everybody in the dealership that uses the CRM should know it like a pro. Our managers have to be the example. Lead by example. Know the CRM better than anybody else. Be able to train the new salespeople that come in better than anyone else. All managers need to know the system because this is where our customers are.
I hear you.
So we've got to make sure that everyone knows how to use it and that everybody's using it every day. So remember that our goal here is to manage the time efficiency, increase our contacts made. If we can make more contacts, we can sell more cars. If we can make more contacts, we're going to set more appointments. If we can set more appointments, we can get more to show up in the showroom. That's the name of this game, isn't it? We need more successful contacts. Now, unfortunately, many of those contacts fall through the cracks because they're not either logged, because the system's not being used, or it's just falling by the wayside, by not being put on any log, a manual log, the receptionist isn't logging it. It's really not their responsibility. It's the salesperson's responsibility, but it's the manager's responsibility to make sure that they know how to do it and that they're doing it. This is such a critical part of this dealership. So what should you be looking for, Mr. Manager? What should you be looking for in the CRM? Our response times is critical. Now remember, you can use these key points for your training session, for that 1-hour meeting. So if our response times are like, an hour or more, that's like red flag, we got a problem. You'd only know that if you ran the report in the CRM. If the CRM is not working and you're not getting an accurate time, that's something that we need to address with the CRM company. And these things do happen, but we got to make sure that we know when it is happening. So what is the follow-up process? Is it being followed efficiently? If the follow-up process that was outlined in the new hire training manual if it's outlined, then we have something to benchmark it by going through the CRM, pulling up prospect records, and seeing what our history is. Do we have a first day phone call? Do we have a logged outcome? Do we have an email that was sent out? Do we have a scheduled action to call again? Did that call take place on the second day? Didn't a second day email go out? Did a third day phone call and email go out? What about a 5th day? What about a 7th day? If you go back in the 30-day-old leads, go look at the history today and see where the majority of your follow-up is occurring and where the opportunity exists for more. 30-day-old leads, they do buy. As a matter of fact, when I go into dealerships, I like to access the 30-day-old leads because most of those start to get really hot. And I have a more probability of closing those than a first-day lead. I know it sounds weird, but that's the fact of the matter, is that people aren't buying today. This isn't a 72-hour sale anymore. So you've got to make sure that that follow-up process exists. It's a critical component here to look for. The status updates. And many times I see status updates where it says first day response or first response. Now, a first response would be applicable for a first response, but first response status would not be accurate for a 7-day contact, would it? No. So some of the statuses might not be set up accurately in your CRM. If you can make changes to your statuses, then I would do so based on the follow-up process. So don't just have generic status updates. This system should be able to, at a glance, tell you exactly where you stand with the prospect. So if you have a 3rd-day phone call email set up in your process, you should have a 3rd-day phone call email status set up in your CRM. So that way you always know at a glance where you stand with every prospect. If you've spoken to a prospect, I use actively working. That tells me that that's a hot person. That's somebody that I've made contact with before. And of course, the follow-up guidelines wouldn't be in place for someone that we actually did make a contact with. Follow-up guidelines are usually for the worst-case scenario where someone doesn't respond back to you. So email templates, those are things you want to look for. And I have to tell you, oftentimes when you encourage email templates, salespeople will use the same email template over and over and over, mistakenly often. But that's something important for you to highlight in your team meetings, your team huddles. don't use the same email template over and over and over. You blew their cover. The email templates are there to help you be more efficient, but you also want to make sure that they don't make you look like a robot, that you look like a blast emailer, that you look like a spammer. You want to make sure that our email templates are modified. So at a minimum, you should check, Mr. Manager, the sent mail every day, all day, to make sure that our email templates are accurate, that they are accurate to the situation, and that they're being customized, and that we've got good grammar and good spelling. Our prospect notes in the CRM, critical. If you just see, spoke to customer, has a trade. Not enough information. If you spoke to the customer, you should know what the hot buttons are, what the deal breakers are. You should know if they have a trade, if they financed before. You should be able to collect a ton of information. And all of that should be documented in the CRM. Using a daily work plan instead of point-and-click strategy. And I call point-and-click strategy when you look at all of your leads and you just start pointing and clicking through all of your leads. And you're like, what should I do today? Oh, gosh, that name sounds familiar. Maybe I should call that guy. Click. Oh, let me read through all the history. Yep, okay, right, and let me look at all the notes. All right, let me look at my emails that I've sent out. Now you're wasting time. Your daily work plan should tell you exactly what to do, exactly where you stand, and exactly when to do it. So, for example, if I am working an internet lead right now, I'm on a third day, I've just called the customer, and I've emailed the customer, and let's say my next action is going to be 5-day. So I'm going to schedule the task for 2 days from now. I'm going to tell myself a quick note. Haven't spoke to customer yet. Make initial call. So you can title it however you want, but when I say make initial call, I know that my outgoing phone call guide that I'm going to use, my structure, my process, that was outlined in my new hire training manual, hopefully. I'm going to implement that. I don't need to read through all my notes from the past 3 days and read all my emails. I just give myself a little clue as to what to do. It pops up on my organizer, on my daily task list, and I complete the action. This is for efficiency. Once again, if you're confused, it's because we don't know the CRM very well. If you're not confused and you know what I'm talking about, we're on the right track. We got to make sure that we're using a daily work plan instead of pointing and clicking through the leads. It's a major time inefficiency to point and click. And this is very important for our managers, is to look at the dead lead file. Now, oftentimes, salespeople will get frustrated and they will call it quits on a lead that's 3 days old. They didn't get back to me, boss. They didn't get back to me. They didn't call me. I've been emailing and calling for 3 days. They didn't get back to me. That is not dead. That's warm. So if you look in the dead lead list, you should be looking at the history to see what took place. Now, again, if you have expectations from the new hire training manual, then nobody would be marking leads that didn't respond back at 3 days dead, would they?
No.
So all of these key points are critical. I know they sound really simple, but you've got to ask yourself, am I doing this? Our fourth key point is those emails. Remember that multi-million-dollar brand we talked about? That email communications is what is going to separate you from competition. If you have an auto sales process set up, I don't encourage it, and I'll tell you why. Because oftentimes we speak to a customer, and that auto sales process doesn't get taken apart, doesn't get dismantled, doesn't get turned off. And now that person that we built this great relationship with is now getting the next automated email saying, we haven't spoken. Where are you? We're going to call you dead if you don't email us back. Well, that might be a little drastic, but you get the idea. It's very important that our email communications maintain your brand identity, that they have really strong first impressions, and that we are ensuring our consumer confidence. If you repeat the same email over and over and over, that is not going to ensure consumer confidence. And I see this on a regular basis. That's why managers, it's important that you know what is going out as far as emails go from the CRM. And I have to tell you that I started off in the car business as a salesperson. Yes, I've had a big hard struggle in school, and I would say that I'm still reaping the repercussions of not paying attention. My spelling, my grammar, I have to admit, not something I'm proud of. And if this is the case for your team or anyone on your team, you've got to help them. You've got to know that there's a problem. Sending out one-liner emails that have got all capital letters, big problem. Sending out emails that are grammatically incorrect, is that going to ensure consumer confidence? No. If you're sending out emails that are just, oh my goodness, spelling error after spelling error, red font, blue font, different size text, you, Mr. Manager, may not even know what's going out because you haven't looked in a while. But if this is what's going out of your store, this is not a good first impression. And it happens too often. What should you be looking out for? Read the sent mail. You've got to see what is going out of the store, and you've got to also see what's coming into the store. So check the salesman's inboxes. Check the sent mailboxes throughout the entire day. This could be a training topic for that 1-hour meeting. I can assure you, you are going to see an alarming part of your business. But you've got to remember, consumers today are shopping 9, 10 plus dealerships. Make sure that you're doing everything you can to leave a solid first impression and to build the confidence. Now, the timing of the emails, this is a problem too, and especially for stores where the salespeople are all handling incoming calls, internet leads, and walk-ins, and their sold business. You'll be dealing with a customer for 4 or 5 hours and nobody's checked your email, but you have an email back from a customer saying, hey, we were thinking about coming on in today. If you don't get back to that person straight away, we've missed an opportunity. Maybe you've done a lot of follow-up with somebody, and now they've got a question, and it's taking us 5, 10 hours to respond back to that question. That's a problem. You wouldn't let a customer sit in your office or at the receptionist desk for 5, 10 hours, would you? They just had a question? So again, we need to have a system set up to make sure that we are timing all of our emails back in an effective and efficient manner. So if you do have salespeople that have to work other aspects of the business, if they may get tied up for somebody for hours on end, what is the backup plan? Is our manager logging in and responding for them? Is there maybe a teammate? All of these things need to be thought about, thought through. The spelling, the grammar, are we using a correct template? Are we personalizing the templates? Are they customized based on maybe past follow-up, based on a conversation that we've already had or we didn't have? Personalization and customization, you're looking for this in the sent emails. And the subject lines, a key part here. If you see subject lines that are similar to the same responses, or I'm sorry, the same subject lines you've received in a response from maybe a mystery shop that you did, then maybe it's time to change your subject lines. They should be crafty, they should be creative, and they should be outside of the box. They should not be your make and model, because that's what every dealership does. So look at your subject lines, that's a first impression, and make sure that it's personal, that's rock solid. Okay, we're winding down here, getting down to the last key point. This is the dreaded recorded calls. Point number 5. I say dreaded because it's infrequent that I run across somebody in a dealership, manager-wise, that likes to listen to the calls. It's a very difficult part of the business to get your arms around. I got to tell you, if you make it a priority, they will get better, and soon you'll love and enjoy listening to the calls because there'll actually be some really good ones in there. So the goal is to improve the salespeople's performance. And obviously, we want to get more showroom appointments, don't we? So every manager in your store should have a goal to spend a minimum of 3 hours per week. Now, break that down. How much time do you really have to spend every day? If you could just come in the morning and listen for a little bit of time every morning, maybe listen at mid-afternoon, listen at the end of the day, listen when you have nothing to do. This manager has got to use the calls for our team huddle training or weekly team training sessions. What I would encourage in our most successful dealerships, they listen to the calls throughout the day. And when they hear something really good, they call the entire team up. And they listen to it together. And the manager highlights what was good on that call. This is an encouraging team huddle activity, and I encourage it. And I encourage it throughout the entire day. This will keep the energy alive. This will make it fun. But more importantly, the salespeople will know that our managers are listening. So think about how you use a team huddle for training purposes. using the recording calls as your examples. So in our recorded calls, what should a manager be listening for? First, the duration of the call. Now, I know this seems very simple, but if you've listened to the calls before, you may not have actually thought about the duration of the call. You might have thought more of the substance and the actual conversation, the questions that were asked, how the salesperson was responding, but you may not have thought to look at the duration of the call. What do you think a good phone call, how long would a good phone call last? 2 minutes?
I was going to say the longer you keep somebody on the phone, that's probably better, but I mean, you have to be respectful of their time too, right? So I have no idea. What's the right answer?
Well, more than 2 minutes, because remember this, we want an appointment to show. That means that a lot of things have to occur in that phone call. Actually, I call it the fall in love with me phone call, because if you don't fall in love with me on the phone, you're not coming to see me.
Agreed.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
how long is it going to get you to fall in love with me on the phone call?
So you're telling me people can fall in love with you in 2 minutes?
I don't think so. Well, maybe if you buy me a couple drinks first.
Of course, that's always there.
All right, but the duration of the phone call, I mean, I'm looking for over 5 minutes. As a matter of fact, 10 minutes would be great. If we want to get an appointment to show up and show up on time, they've got to respect you, they've got to feel confident in you, they've got to like you, trust you, believe in you. All that has to occur, so how is that going to happen in 2 minutes? 2 minutes might be, yeah, we got the car, when can you be here? Not enough for their 21st century dealership, not when they're shopping 9, 10 other dealerships. So the duration of the call, we want a more extended phone call. I know it's a little bit different than you've been trained on in the past, but that 2-minute call is old school. It's done. Hit the delete button. Those days are over. We've got to spend time with people. The greeting, how you introduce yourself, your first impression, these are all things that you should be listening for. Are you separating yourself, or are you saying things like, sales, how can I help you? And the customer's like, yeah, I'm on your website. I'm looking at stock number 2244A, and yeah, I just want to know if you guys have that car and what's your best price. That's a bad way to start the call. So, of course, you're looking for more effective greetings that the salesperson's taking more control of, that we're not taking them right to price lane straight away. Our first impressions should be professional, and they should be different. It can't be the same greeting as every other salesperson in every other dealership. What are the management questions that the salesperson is asking straight away? How do we get control of the call? Are they prepared? Is your salesperson prepared? Can you tell what the plan is? Remember that plan that you outlined in the new hire training manual? Is it being implemented consistently? Is there rapport building occurring? Are they following that plan? Are they gaining commitment? And what are they doing to set the appointment? As opposed to, yeah, when can you guys come on down? I'm here from bell to bell. That's not an appointment. No, we need a more strategic approach. So when you're listening to your recorded calls, you're looking for substance, you're looking for professionalism, you're looking for questions, management of the call, value building, ways that the salesperson is creating confidence in themselves, that they're building trust. Very difficult to build trust on a phone call, but you can make promises and deliver, can't you? So remember, when we're listening to recorded calls, this is for training purposes. It is to help our sales force succeed, to let them know that we are here not to punish them, but to help them persevere. It is very difficult to take incoming calls without a plan. Oftentimes, you're going to be pressed for a price or availability, and that's because salespeople typically are not instructed on how to take that call in an effective manner. So, all of those things you can outline in that new hire training manual. Get started on some of these key points. Carve the time out right now. Carve the time out to help your team succeed. And the first thing is you've got to make the time. You've got to organize the information, that new hire training manual. You've got to make sure that you're trained on that CRM. You've got to make sure that you have that date and time picked out for that 1-hour team meeting. You've got to make sure that you're reading the sent emails, that you're reading the inbound emails, and you're making changes to those, that you're help coaching our team to better communications. And we've got to listen to the calls. If we are going to focus on the bread and butter, which is the incoming calls and the internet leads, then we need to make sure that our game plans are clearly defined and clearly outlined. Okay, so we've covered 5 key points today. We've got a lot of things I know that I covered, a lot of key things that hopefully your pencil was moving just as fast as I was talking. Now I want to open it up for some questions.
Excellent. And let me tell you, Jen, I agree with everything that you said. I think you did a great job outlining those things, and I really hope our dealerships agree as well. So we do have some great questions that came in, and remember, audience, Jen says she can answer any question. So I want to let's start with Leah's question. Leah had a great question. Her question is, what CRM do you recommend? Jen? Because how many CRMs are out there? Like 17, 20?
Yeah, I would say that there's at least 20. We log into CRMs every single day in our company to help with managing the activities, and I would say that some are better than others. I'd say that with all the different CRM companies, you've got to make sure that they're compatible with your DMS, that you're not duplicating work, but they're functional. If you have to click on 10 different screens to send an email, that's not very functional, is it? I personally like Web Control. I think that they have a really good, easy program. It's easy to learn. It's self-explanatory. The reporting is accurate. I also like iMagic Lab. Those are 2 products that I recommend regularly.
Okay, that's great. I mean, would you agree that some CRMs are better at some things than other CRMs are? Like some CRMs are better for internet sales than others, possibly?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, know this, that there is not one CRM that's just absolutely perfect. I've worked with all of them. I consider myself an expert on most of these products. I would say that there are pros and cons on every single one of them. So just know that one CRM may have certain functionality that others are not, and there's always going to be pros and cons. There's always going to be something that one doesn't do that the other one does.
That's good to know. So they should try. So if they're looking for a CRM, they should try a few, right?
Well, you should at least have some recommendations from other dealers. You should do a trial. You should make sure that it's compatible with your DMS.
Good advice. Okay, next question comes to us from Tom. He actually sent this one quite early, and he says, do you have a sample PDF of a training manual? I thought that was a great question. Because you talked about how important the training manual is. Do you have like a sample that you like?
I have one that we provide for our clients. So here's what I can suggest to Tom and to anybody else that's listening. You've got the key points to include in that new hire training manual that we covered here today. And there's probably some other aspects that you thought while I was going through some of the job descriptions and benchmarks and sales processes and reports, there's probably some things that you thought of that you would want to include in your new hire training manual. What I would suggest is that you get started. Write all these things into a format. Get your Word document out. Start putting all this on paper. It's easier to snag somebody else's idea, I get that, but it's going to be more effective if you put your own together. And if you want me to take a look at it and make any kind of changes or recommendations, I will do that for you as a favor to Dealer On and all of their customers and future customers. I will take the time and effort to review what you've put together and give you some feedback. I'm really glad you're asking the question. Take advantage of me and my offer.
That's very, very kind of you, Jen. I really, really appreciate that, as well as I'm sure a lot of these dealers do as well. So, which brings me to my next question, which came from Danielle, and kind of Tom too. Danielle wrote, can you send me some email templates that work? Tom wrote, do you have sample structure for emails, subject line, eye catchers? Kind of the same question. So they're asking about email templates, which I know is something that you offer at eDealer Solutions. So, of course, Tom and Danielle, you probably have to hire Jen. But Jen, what do you say?
Yes. Of course, this is something that we cover in our training program. And here's what I can offer you. Send me what you have. You know, really think about what we talked about here today. Send me an email. Send me your email that's of interest, the first day. Let me know what you're sending out. Let me know what you think you should be doing, and I'll give you some recommendations. I'll fine-tune it for you. I'll send you back something with some of the key components that either we talked about or are our philosophies at getting more responses back. But you've got to send me what you've got. Send me what you think you should change, and I'll help you with that.
Oh, both of them wrote in and said, cool, thank you. Her email address, just so you know, is jennifer@edealersolution.com. You know what, Jen? You should probably push it to the next slide. There you go. That's what Jen looks like. Isn't she cute? So it's jennifer@edealersolution.com. So if anyone wants to take advantage of Jennifer's very kind offer, then I suggest you put together an email and get in touch with her. So she's super nice, I promise. Okay, next question comes to us from Robert. And he writes, do you recommend using the email templates as is or using it as a base? I mean, I think, Jennifer, one of the things that you talked about before is you don't want people to use the template as like a crutch. They really should try and make it personalized, correct?
Yes, I totally recommend that. I like email templates because they make your life a little easier. They're efficient. However, sometimes they can be more harm than good. Here's what I suggest, is that you have an email template that gives all the base information, like what you do there, what you bring to the table, questions that might be helping to engage the prospect and responding back to you, what they should expect from you. Like if you prepare for appointments in any way, shape, or form, maybe you want to outline that. Just give them a kind of a bird's eye as to exactly who you are and what you represent. What I mean also by this is that you're showing them what the difference is between walking into the dealership and emailing a dealership. What is the difference in service? So that should be outlined in that email. But to answer your question more specifically, I would use it at the base, but I would make changes to every single email. And what I would encourage is that you change the first paragraph. The first paragraph is what they're going to read first, and you want to make sure that they feel that you wrote this to them. And selling the value of you, what you represent, what you bring to the table, all that can stay the same. So that would be a good base for an email template. Just what you bring to the table, who you are, and then make changes, alterations in the first paragraph based on what this prospect might have been asking you, based on past history, and following up, but something personal to this customer.
I think that's great. And Robert, I hope that helped you out. Tom wanted to write in and say thank you again. He's so sweet. So I want to tell you, Jennifer, I thought you did a fabulous job. And I think each one of those 5 points that you put out there in today's presentation could each be a webinar all on its own.
Yes.
Putting that out there. Robert wrote in and said thank you as well. So I want to thank you, Jen. That was really a spectacular presentation. And I do want to say, just on a personal note, my little brother, he's buying a car right now. He's looking, he's shopping, he lives outside of Philadelphia, and he one day called 5 different dealerships. He knew exactly what kind of car he was looking for. He has great credit, and he wants to buy a car and have a new car within 2 weeks. So this guy is ready to buy, and he did all of his research, all that stuff, right? He called me up that same night, and he's like, it seems like these people just don't want to sell me a car. Like, I don't get it. Either they call me back or they don't call me back at all. But when they do call me back, I'm still not getting the information that I want. And he was very disillusioned. And I'm wondering if maybe there's lots of other shoppers who feel the same way. Because if it happened to my own brother, and he knows his sister is kind of, involved in the auto industry, he wound up calling me and asking me, can you send me to a dealership that I can go to? That's exactly what happened. So I did. But again, this is, in his area, he called 5 dealerships close to him and didn't get the kind of response. I guess not having a good phone process is something that is a lot more prevalent than I think most dealerships realize. So.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I actually just I got a text message from one of our clients that's on the call right now, and he just mentioned that if anyone here wanted to talk to any of our clients that are implementing these 5 key points and doing it effectively, let me know, because I have some volunteers of our clients that are texting me now saying you could talk to them. And
I know, they're writing in too. Send them to me. I'll sell them a car.
Well, you know, a lot of the things that we talked about today are, they sound simple, they're very difficult to do at times. I realize that. Sometimes it's nice to talk to other people, other managers at dealerships that have been able to implement these things. They didn't do it all at once. It took them some time to do it. But you might, if you ever want to speak to somebody that we've worked with at implementing these strategies, they've turned their dealerships around. And I can honestly say that if you can incorporate these key points we talked about here today, you're going to find growth in your dealership. I promise you. It just takes effort, it takes persistence, it takes perseverance, and it takes planning. But we have a lot of dealers that have turned their dealerships around in a drastic way, and it started with the managers, it started with these key points, and if you ever want to speak to any of them, just let me know, and I'll put you in touch with them.
And I think it's key to have training for those people who are customer facing, because I know it would have made a big difference to my brother, who is like the epitome of car shopper. He's ready to buy, you know what I mean? So I know it would have made a big difference. If he just had one person out of those 5 dealerships call him that gave him, you know, half of a decent first response, he would have gone to them. So cautionary tale out there. Jen, thank you so much for the information. You were spectacular, and I do want to tell you how much I and DealerOn and all of our dealerships today really do appreciate it. So thank you so much. We are coming to the top of the hour. Any questions that weren't answered during the time allotted will be answered by email later today. And I want to remind the audience that a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later today. Please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And in that same email, I will also be sending all of you a link and a password to check out one of eDealer Solutions' awesome training modules. It's associated with this topic. So be sure to check it out, because those training modules are video gold, and today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. So just go to dealeron.com/webinars to view our upcoming webinar schedule or access any of our past webinars. And don't forget, at the conclusion of this webinar in just a few minutes, you're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out. We're always looking for quality feedback from our audience, and we're going to select some random people from those that fill out that survey to also win some Google prizes. So if you want to be considered for that, then please fill out that survey. We do appreciate it. So like I said, that password and link, I'll be sending that out to you today, and that's a great product. So thank you so much for that, Jennifer and eDealer Solutions. And I want to let you know that invitations will be going out tomorrow for next week's webinar. PPC Science 101, Lower Spend and Increase Leads. And this is going to be with Jason Azell. He's the president and co-founder of Datium, the largest aggregator of auto shopper behavior data in the industry. So if you're wondering how you can increase your leads without spending more money, well then, you've got to be here next week, because Jason's going to show us all how to do it. And this will be another can't-miss presentation by your friends at DealerOn. Don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. And we have some really great webinar subjects planned for this year. But if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, please feel free to contact me directly. Again, my name is Eliana Raggio, and I love hearing from you, so track me down online or email me at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and we hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Have yourselves a good one.